What's up, everybody? Another wonderful Monday night at Chewin the BBQ Fat. What a great weekend of barbecue. Just incredible things going on this weekend. Super excited about our guest tonight. We had this plan for last week, and Brad had to go to Memphis, and we didn't want to make him drive through all the traffic and everything. So everybody decided to postpone, and thank goodness we did, because it's going to make this week's show even better. What's up, Wes Garrett? Hope you're having a good one, bud. I know you got to cook this weekend. Glad to see it, though. But I tell you what, I'm super excited about tonight's show. I'm having to sit on a beanbag chair tonight. Ellen took my chair. But anyway, what we're going to talk about, one of my good friends, Cary. What's up, Rob? He won his first Grand 2 weeks ago. Brad, getting basted, won his 50th Grand 2 weeks ago. I thought it'd be a really cool show to talk about the first, the 50th. And in between that, our 50th guy went out and became another world champion with his friend down there at Memphis in May. So that's just going to be a lot of fun to talk about. Looking forward to it. I'm going to go ahead and bring everybody on. So get your questions ready. It's going to be a great show. Like the page, share the page. Let's get this out to as many people as we can, and let's get rolling. So first off, I'm going to bring Cary on. Cary, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, but you should have brought the world champion on first.
Well, I gotta hype it up. We're hyping him
up. Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Cary.
Carrie Chastain with Hold Your Horses out of Griffin, Georgia. Started really competing in 2016 with one contest and kind of went from there. And finally this year we've kind of concentrated on Kcbs and moved away from cooking 5 different associations at a time and trying to dial in on one and see what happens.
That's awesome. And what happened?
Well, we got our first Grand 2 weeks ago in Franklin, North Carolina, and backed it up with another solid cook this weekend.
Yeah, you did. You're on fire this weekend. Well, good. So while we're talking about somebody on fire, other than you, let's see if we can't bring on our other guest. What's going on, Brad? How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Man, no problem. I always enjoy having you come on. It's always a good show. You're always doing something in the barbecue world to be in the middle of the conversation. So what you sipping on, Brian? I'm just a little bit of Elijah Craig tonight. So, Brad, tell me a little bit about yourself. Everybody knows you, but just go through it for me if you don't mind.
Yeah, I've got a Pitmaster getting basted. I've got, I guess 5 restaurants down here in the southern Missouri area now, and been competition cooking since 2012. Just, incredibly blessed. Barbecue has become, my life over the last few years, and about Cary, man, you can see him building up to that win. I think I've been at 2 or 3 contests with him. He's won a category he'd ever won. So, it was a matter of time before he put all 4 together.
That's right. Something Cary and I, we talk a good bit, and that's something that we've always talked about is, we'll get into that in a little bit, Wes. Cary has been on fire. So, go ahead and ask. Brad, whose house is the trophy staying at from this weekend?
So, there's always the chance of a fight breaking out on the stage. Who could drag the trophy out? Then we realized how heavy it was. And then I'm like, okay, Tim, you can take it home right now. But I think the plan is we're going to timeshare it, honestly. And it'll probably, Tim, I've got a better public forum to put it. So we're kind of in the talks of maybe getting like a Blues Hog type patio or lounge going at the restaurant down in Branson, and then we can put a bunch of photos up and put the Memphis trophy up and kind of make it a showcase for both of us down there. We're using all of Tim's products down at the restaurant proudly, and it fits in, and I'm hoping that's where the home's going to be. But we got to get into leg wrestling or Rochambeau or something. We'll get into it. So there was a little bit of contention there about who that was going to take. I snuck out with the big check. So that's going to go on the wall right away. And Tim took the trophy, kind of get the photo ops and get everything, all the promotion and everything he's going to do for Blues Hog, because, it's an incredible win for the brand. And we literally used his stuff from the start to finish, as far as Blues Hog products. And hopefully Bill Arnold, bring Bill Arnold in for some photos and get some stuff done. So that's where the trophy's going to live for the time being. But I'll get my hands on it at some point.
That's awesome. So the original reason to have you on was when Cary won his first, you won your 50th. What was that like for you winning your 50th grand?
It's kind of surreal, to be honest with you. You just kind of sit there and plug away, and then one day you're there. I kind of was getting close. It was one of my goals, when I hit, I kind of hit 35 or so. A couple years ago, it was kind of like, okay, 50 is in shot, and that was one I circled. So it was good. It was a relief to get there, and just doing what I do, and I knew it was going to come, but that last, I think I won 2 in a row, and then I started pushing a little bit, went 4 or 5 weeks, and then I finally got it out there in Lamar, Colorado. So, get that, and I can move on to the next milestone.
What is your next milestone? Because let me back that up.
Retiring, maybe. I don't know.
No, not you. That's your life. I know you're a numbers guy, right? So we've had this discussion before. Your record or whatever. You got to cook X amount, and in that you'll win. What is your What would you say your next milestone is? Or because I know we all know it's achievable, whatever it's going to be.
Well, I mean, I'd like to win. I'd probably try to go for third team of the year this year. It's kind of lining up for me. There's good cooks out there. Joe Pierce is. You talk about one of the hottest cooks in barbecue. Joe Pierce has been lighting it up, and there's a bunch of good cooks out there. They're going to start warming it up as we get into summer. But I definitely did some work early, and we'll see how it plays out. So that's on the goal for this year. And I'm going to cook a lot, cook enough, hopefully, to make that happen.
Nice, Cary. You won your first. I know we discussed probably a month or so ago, your goals for this year. You've met a good bit of those goals this year. So what's next for you that you're trying to accomplish this year?
I still need a rib win. That's one category I haven't won in Kcbs yet. I tied for first this weekend, but wound up third with the tiebreaker. So still working on that goal. I've got category. I started the year wanting category win in chicken, and to win each category and finish in the top 25 was my initial goal. And now we've upped that and trying to finish in the top 15, and we'll see what happens. I got introduced the other day to barbecue data after my win at Franklin, and there's a whole world of information that I never knew existed out there. So it's been kind of fun looking through my 4 years of cooking 4 contests, 5 contests, 12 contests, 16 last year, as to how my averages have improved. I've already got more top 10s, more category top 10s this year in 9 contests than I've had in the previous 4 years combined. And like I said, the other Saturday when I got the grand, that was number 48 in Kcbs, and I had no clue that all this data was there. And it's been kind of interesting the last week or two, just kind of looking through all that and analyzing it to see where I've come from and where I'm at now and what it's looking like going forward.
So, Brad, that's something that you have done a lot of, is analyzing the data. And how much information is out there, and how does that affect the way you cook?
Well, I think you got to understand the game we're in. It's subjective. The judging either from place to place and week to week can be up and down. There's bad tables, there's good tables, there's everything. So you just got to be able to take this thing and remove yourself emotionally from it. And the data helps you do that. If you sit there and you look at it and that helps you sit there and say, okay, I got beat this weekend. It wasn't necessarily anything I did, man. It's just like, it was my time to get beat. It was somebody else's time to win, and that's what the numbers dictate. And I know it's not my stuff. If I keep putting my stuff up there, I'm going to pull that win, and my averages are going to go in there. So I think that's what it helps you do. It just levels out the highs and lows. Now, where it becomes difficult is if you're not cooking a lot. Like Cary was before, only cooking. Say you're going to do 6 or 8 Kcbs events in a year. Well, you're not really doing a big enough sample size to level that out. So if you happen to catch a bad break in 6 or 7 of the events that you do, it really leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Whereas, we're cooking 30, 35 events, we really can level out those highs and the lows, and you just got to learn. And and I've talked to a lot of people that are just starting to get into it or getting good or whatever. And you just got to say, hey man, trust your stuff. The pallets haven't changed, the judges haven't changed. It's just, you're just not getting lucky. You're not hitting what you need to hit now. Just go out there and run your program, and you're always going to come back to your averages. It's always going to pop back. You sit there and lose to 8 to 10 contests in a row, you're probably going to go out there and pop a couple, and that's just the way it works. And just knowing that and having the discipline to believe that is a big part of competition barbecue.
Nice.
Well, it's like 3 weeks ago in Brookhaven, I really felt like I'd had to cook to do it. Everything was in place. I was happy with my meats. I was really thrilled with chicken, and I didn't get a chicken call. Wound up finishing 5th overall, I think. And I left there coming home that night, and I was talking to Bobby Stanfield, and he says, you've cooked enough now. You know when your product's good. He says, when I got on that run, he says, I'd 180 1 week and get blistered 2 weeks later, but you keep cooking the same process, it's going to hit more than it loses. And that's kind of what I took from that and went on. And then lo and behold, the next week I grand and in position, got calls in the first 3 meets and got hammered in brisket. So, but I had a chance. I put myself in the opportunity to be there. Nothing I'll change about the cook, but we're going to go on and go to the next one.
And to that point, that's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to cook 4 meats that put yourself in a position to win when everything lines up for you. Not everything's going to line up for you every week, but you just want to make sure you're not missing. So when those tables do line up for you, you get the win, and you don't give away opportunities to win contests. That's what's going to separate great cooks from good cooks. Is great cooks, when they line up and they hit the tables to win, they win.
Right. And that's something for me as a guy that I don't get to cook much at all, right? I get to talk about barbecue. I get my life as barbecue, but I don't get to cook that much. So when I do go cook, I know that I'm doing everything I can to make sure I turn in four categories that are good, because I need that opportunity, right? Like, you've got to turn in four good categories and do the best you can. I had Rob Bauer, my buddy with Backyard Barbecue Heroes. I think he's watching. He asked me, he's like, do you have any advice that you can give me? And I was like, the only advice I can give you is how to cook. Just trust your cook and go do it. And don't second guess stuff. Just go cook your cook. I have a feeling when y'all were in Memphis this weekend, you said this was the first time you'd ever cooked a shoulder, right? You know how to cook. Right? It's not anything that you don't know what you're doing. Y'all just had to trust your process and stick with your process, because y'all were doubted, is from what I understand, right?
Well, I mean, to be clear, we've cooked, butts, 1 million of them, a piece, but we've never had the opportunity or the reason to cook a whole shoulder. In Memphis, you have to cook a whole shoulder. And, we went hot and fast on the drums. Nobody'd ever done that before. We were told we were crazy. And when we first started out cooking on the drums, we got the same stuff. We'd show up, we'd go down and go to a contest and show up with drums, and everybody would kind of laugh and giggle, and we go out there and do well. And this is kind of the same situation. We had a lot of people, of course, they know us now, and they were interested. They wanted to see how we did it. Like, I'm curious how the heck you're going to pull this off. How the heck is this going to work out? And we just did what we do, and the pork turned out fantastic. And we got fortunate enough to win. So, it's just kind of stick by your guns, and good things will happen. So
speaking of winning, like, we're talking about you winning 50 grands and winning grands, right? What did you, because how many, Tim's won a bunch of grands too. I don't know exactly his number, but I know he's won a lot.
Less than mine. Let's put it that way safely. I think Tim's like low 40s. I mean, he's obviously he's a whale of a cook. I think our percentages are honestly almost dead even with the number of contests we've cooked and the number of times we won. It's almost uncanny how that's worked out.
So with the two of you going to cook Memphis, like, y'all, I mean, because I'm a member of the barbecue league, and I was fortunate enough to see some of the insight, whatever. Just watching y'all cook and do what you do, it was amazing to see. I mean, there was no hesitation, y'all. I mean, you both cook separate, but y'all look like y'all were cooking together like all the time, right? Like y'all look like just a
Well, yeah, and I mean, we've cooked together enough as far as doing classes and everything else that we've kind of got an idea, and we've worked together enough on other stuff that we know each other's mannerisms and when to go, when to push and when to back off, and when to give them hell and when to when to this, and so we've done it enough together that we're able to kind of sit there and play off each other's strengths, and I think that's one thing that really sets us up. I mean, we even did the presentation together, which I don't know that anybody's ever done that in Memphis. People ask us, "Hey, who's going to do the presentation?" We're like, we both are. So we were both up there doing the presentation, So we it's just we have similar styles, we have similar everything else, and it just plays well together. Yeah, I mean, and when we team up, we're pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, I would say so. There's a lot of people on here saying y'all team up in Kcbs. Blaine Hunter wants to know who has the most RGCs.
Oh, Tim for sure. Yeah, no, he's got he's probably pushing 50 RGCs. I've got 40, like 2 or 3. I think Tim's in the upper 40s, but and it's not just and I've got my share of disappointing RGCs as well. I mean, it's the contest. He's got the Royal. Of course, I have the Royal. We both have the Royal Invitational. He's got the Jack Daniels. I've got Sam's Club. Just heartbreaking RGCs that we put together through the years. It's one of those ones which is hard to explain when you get a reserve grant at one of those big contests. It's really one of the happiest days of your life, but it's also one of the deals. It's just like, son of a gun, and this Saturday is one of those too, watching Myron win the whole thing. We're right there on the stage at the end. And yeah, it was absolutely one of the happiest feelings you ever had. It's still one of those deals. It's like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be here again. It sure would have been nice to get it done, just that little bit of regret in those RGCs. So it definitely keeps you motivated. I mean, you don't take them for granted because they are a great thing to get, but it keeps you coming back.
So Myron with his 5th Memphis and May victory, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah, when we heard the whole hog finalists were, had Myron and Melissa Cookston in it, Tim and I knew we had kind of an uphill swim against those 2 veterans, and the on-site portions of, that's it in the finals. The same 9 judges, or the same 9 judges, the same 4 judges go judge not all 9 final teams, and you got Myron in there.
Huge part.
It is, yeah.
And both of them are so good at the on-site presentation.
Oh, they're pros. I mean, Tim and I are up there hacking at it. I mean, it's just no different. I mean, it would have been an upset if we would have won the whole thing. I mean, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So it's but it's still one of those deals. You're right there, and I think we had a product to do it, and I think Memphis is one of those deals. As you start getting those big trophies, that it gets a little bit easier for those on-site judges to give you those 10s that you need to go on and win. So hopefully it's one of those cumulative things, and next year we get another one, and maybe we'll be we'll get that really big one year.
It's awesome. So Cary, Brad DuPont wants to know from both of y'all, who has the best boudin breakfast?
Well, that's a weird question.
Brad, hands down.
He needs to send me some. I haven't had one this year. I can't remember.
I know. I asked him. I was like, man, maybe I can get some. I'd love to get some of that stuff. It's amazing. I was passing that out.
The ones he served us in Brookhaven, oh my gosh, it was heaven.
I weighed 180 pounds before I met Brad DuPont. I swear to God, that's true. So
I tell you what, that food, that sauce, any of his boudin, his andouille, his tiger, all of his sausages are just incredible. So Ronnie's boudin, if you haven't,
if you're on keto, he's even got like a cauliflower boudin that fits in there, and you can't tell the difference. It's fantastic. I mean, he's a magician.
He really is. I mean, and if anybody needs, he's on here. He's watching right now. Reach out to him. Find out the easiest way to get some. But I'm telling you right now, if you haven't had his boudin or his galoshes, you got to try them. They are absolutely amazing. Cary sent me that. He even called me. He's like, oh, my God, guess what I just had breakfast with the other day? I mean, it was so good.
I sent a picture that morning from the contest.
Yeah, you did. I was jealous. So what is something – Cary, what is something that you can tell somebody who's out there searching for that first grand? What is something that you would suggest or tell somebody to do to get that first grand?
Cook every weekend for 5 or 6 weeks to get your processes to where they're just ingrained and you don't have to think about what you're doing, because everything streamlines itself and it becomes so repetitive that you don't make the mistakes.
Yeah, I mean that's great advice. I mean that's what it is. I mean you got to know what you're doing. It's that whole feeling confident with yourself. Brad, what would you tell somebody that's won 1 to 10 contests? What do you need to do to get to that 50 level?
Well, I mean, I think Carrie just hit on it. I mean, you've got to cook enough to get your processes down and hitting. They, like you said, like what you saw in the video, that you're not hesitating. I mean, that's the difference between cooking well and struggling. You know, when you're cooking well, you know what's going to go in the box. You know what you're going to do. You're getting the food there. You're getting it in confidently. It's amazing how much of a head game barbecue is. I mean, you wouldn't think it would be, but it's tremendous head game. And so it's just a matter of getting your mentality right, cooking enough. And that's what's going to take your game to the next level. It's just putting in the repetition. You got to put in the work. There's no replacement for the work.
Well, and that's for me. I mean, we go through it now, and it's just like it's so easy because it's all there. You do it. You're not rushed. Everything has its time and place, and you go through the end of the cooking. Well, we didn't have any oh shit moments, and that's really cool because you don't think about it. You just do it.
Kicking my gear.
Nathan Dexter, he says A and use Blues Hog.
Yeah, Blues Hog, obviously. I mean, that should be the starting point for anybody.
Starting point and ending point.
It's the gold standard, right?
Whatever you mix it with, just start there, and you're going to be just fine.
And the funny thing is, when we first got into the store, Atlanta Barbecue store, Ellen and I took over the store. Blues Hog, it was Blues Hog Original, and then Champions Blend came out, and that was a major ordeal, or not ordeal, a major deal for people to get them on board with. Blues Hog is not only just selling the sauces, now the rubs and the marinades and everything else is just blowing up. I mean, I think watching some of the videos, and I won't say anything what you use, Brad, so that's your show.
I don't think there's any secret, but
it's like you'll mix up all kind of crazy stuff, and it's a Blues Hog based everything, and that is something that you have to find confidence in. And Carrie, I imagine you would say the same thing with whatever you're using. Have trust in your products and know how to fix things. Know what the rubs do and know what the sauces do. So when you taste something that doesn't have what you want it to be, you can fix it, right? I mean, is that something that both of you have been able to do? Is fix meat when it comes out, and when it doesn't taste exactly like you want it to, you know what to do?
My ability to fix stuff on the cutting board is so far ahead from where it used to be, it's unreal. And I guess the other thing that has changed is where I have learned to feel meat in my hands and not rely on probes. That's been another big thing.
And yeah, I mean that's the game, right? I mean that's what's going to set you apart. I mean it's something's going to go wrong every weekend. It's how you react to it, and how you turn that into an advantage, or I kind of equated to golf competition barbecue a lot of times. It's you got to know when to put up a point. You got to know when you go for a par and when you go for an eagle. Sometimes you have great something, load it up, man, go for that 180. Sometimes you're just like, okay, if I can just get in here and make it good enough to sneak out a 171 or 172, I can win the contest. And that's the one where you're sitting there and you get that ninth place chicken collar or something on something that wasn't that great you fixed. And that's when you hit up to the front, man. That's when you win the contest. So I mean, adjustments and fixing, that's barbecue.
That's awesome. So what is it? Carrie, I'll start with you. I know you've got a grand now, and you have a desire to go out and get the next one. What is it that is keeping you motivated, or what is your motivation now of, are you going to sit back and wait, or are you going to go out there and bust it, try to get the next win?
I'm cooking a double this weekend, cooking 2 more back-to-back doubles in 3 weeks. This is my year to try to see what I can do, and I'm going to make a run at it. Just to prove to myself what I've done and where I've come from and where I'm going. I love the competition. I love the people in barbecue and getting to travel and see everybody on the weekends and that kind of stuff. And, it's really cool.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we met a lot of great friends through our barbecue, and and everything else. So Brad, what keeps you motivated? I know you said at the beginning of this, you have 5 restaurants. You cook what 40 to 50 times a year. You're all over. You've got the barbecue league, which is probably the most. I would say it's probably changed barbecue more so than anything in the past couple of years. What is it that keeps you going to continue to make barbecue so good?
I just love what I do. I still, some of the tedious stuff, obviously trimming your 1 millionth thigh or something, which might be a milestone I hit at some point or whatever. You don't want to, that stuff gets old, but it never gets old for me on Saturday. When I get there and I'm cooking on Saturday, as soon as that gets old or as soon as I'm not enjoying myself there, that's when I'm going to step away. As far as the other stuff goes, it's just there's nobody out there that's gonna turn around and promote you. You've got to promote yourself, and the barbecue league's out there to promote yourself, promote cooks, and try to get out there, because it's just not going to happen if we can't leave it to Kcbs to promote us. We can't leave it. We've got to go out there and we've got to build this sport up, man. It's dying off a little bit. Contest attendance is down. Contests are dying. Some of it COVID related, but it was happening before, and we've got to promote barbecue and talk about ourselves. Nobody else is going to do it.
So, real quick, talking barbecue league, because I'm curious. I feel like through our site and the barbecue that we see, I feel like there's a whole new wave of teams coming in. I feel like there's a lot of new teams coming in. Is that something y'all are seeing right now through the barbecue league? And if it is that who's joining the league, or is who's like?
Yeah, we've got new teams that join, and we have teams that get their first calls and first grand championships and stuff really almost on a weekly basis, and it's cool to see. And out there in Lamar, when I won out there, I think there were 6 new teams, which has been a long time since that's happened. But I don't know if that's happening necessarily all over the place. I think it's a little too early to tell. I hope it is, man. I hope there's 6 new teams in every contest, but we'll have to see. I think some of this stuff, you've got a little bit of retraction in contests, which is a good thing. But it seems like when they stack up on a weekend, contests have trouble getting numbers. When there's 4 or 5 or 6 of them on a weekend. So hopefully we can get some new blood in this game, man. It needs it, and that's part of what we're about. We've got brands and products that we're trying to push, and to do that, you need people competing.
Yeah, I know at Gadsden, Alabama, the last one I cooked, I think there was a lot of new teams. There might have been 10 teams that were new. But then backyard is helping that also. So
it is.
Well, in Brookhaven, Mississippi the other week, I think we had 9 first-time teams at that contest.
That's fantastic. That's what you want to see.
And I feel today, Brad, you've been in it for a while. I know, Cary, you haven't been in it as long as Brad has. But what have you seen has changed in the past, say, 5 to 7 years that has made it because as you said, I think barbecue is kind of dying. I don't know if it was dying, but it was kind of, there was people were going out of, and then others come. Why do you think there's a change of?
Well, I think it's cyclical, and I think, you go look, and it's kind of funny because that contest in Lamar was 20 years old or whatever. And I was going back and looking through the results, and before Pitmasters, that contest would happen, there'd be 10 or 11, 12 teams there. And so, the numbers are still way up from then, some before, say, 2010. They're down from the heyday of competition barbecue, which is around those Pitmaster days, which is probably, 2011 through 2014, 15-ish. And I think it just was that, honestly, talking about Myron and Tuffy and those guys had such an impact and brought people into barbecue. I know that's why I did, man. We sit there and watch it. Oh man, this exists, right? It was an avenue that people that love to cook, love to barbecue, or whatever, saw, hey, there's competitions. This is how it's done. So I think it's just cyclical. I think something else will pop up, whether it's the barbecue league, it's another TV show, it's whatever, man. And it doesn't matter to me what it is. But something will pop up that'll drive interest, and we'll have another boom. But right now we're kind of on the downside of it, I think, of that popularity boom. A lot of teams that got into it because of that are getting out of it now, and we're just waiting for the next thing that kind of pushes it along.
Yeah, Cary, I was talking to Matt, Matt this morning. I was talking to him today, and I think that the people that are getting into barbecue today are, and I'm going to use you because you've been in barbecue, what did you say, 5 years? Really pushing Kcbs here in the past couple of years. The newer people getting into it today are really getting into it to go win and to go push things, right? There's more information than there's ever been. And back at Ellen would always get calls like, back when we used to compete, we'd go to Walmart and find the cheapest piece of meat and go try to do whatever. Now it's the complete opposite of that. Would you say that that's something that when you got into it, your goal was not just to go in there and have fun, but to go in there and compete?
Yeah, very definitely. With the internet and cook schools that are available, and I take 1 or 2 classes a year now. But it's nothing I'm going to learn that's life changing. But we all start at A, we all end up at M, and there's a million ways in between. If you just pick up one nugget from a class that makes your life simpler or something that you can incorporate, it's like the last one. My biggest thing that I learned was fire management on my offset that worked on mine and has made my life tremendously easier. And it's just little things like that you pick up from classes. And I've never been a big partier. That's not ever been my thing. But I enjoy the camaraderie and hanging out with everybody, but I'm there to do the best I can do.
What was harder, winning your first contest or your 50th?
We won our first. I think it was my 8th contest that I won my first one. So I didn't even know what the heck I was doing when I won my first one. So I didn't know how hard it was. I just kind of stepped into one, and it was funny because even when we started, started out with some success, got 3 calls, and then you go step into a hornet's nest, and at the time back then, like up around Iowa is where everybody was at. You had Big T's and Pigskin, and Darren was rolling, and Lucky's Q, and all those legends up there in Iowa. And I go from Southwest Missouri, go up there, and I just get curb stomped, and you're like, okay, it's a different game. You realize that maybe I don't have this figured out, and then you get used to going there and get back to work. So I think really, winning your first one, my first one was the most work, but I just didn't realize it at the time. I didn't realize how hard it was to win at the time.
Cary mentioned classes, and I know you do classes, and Tim does classes, and I don't know if I know y'all do them together now, but do you normally do classes on your own, or at what point in time were you like, what, I could do a class?
Well, Tim and I have done them together. Pretty much exclusively. I've done some single meat stuff by myself. I've done some backyard stuff by myself. But as far as the competition stuff, we did that online one with Matt Walker. But as far as the competition stuff goes, Tim and I have always done them together, and it's just because it started out that I don't think we had a strong enough product to probably not do one together when we first did it. And the first one that we did was so intimidating. We had some great cooks there. People were just like more curious to see what these 2 idiots were doing, right? We were cooking hot and fast. We're cooking on these trash cans. They're smelling the fat burning on the coals, and the white smoke we're shoving all over the parking lot. And I think a lot of those good cooks just came. They weren't there to learn anything from us. They were there to see what the 2 idiots were doing. It's like we were the sideshow. And our first class was a disaster. It's hard to do your first one, always is. But from there, we've just always done them together, and it just seems to go. They're a lot of work. If you've ever put on a class, it's a ton of work. It's really hard to do it by yourself, and I've really got no desire to do it by myself. So doing them with Tim, really, it's half the money, but it's way less than half the work. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and Cary, I'll come back to you, Matt and Brad, in a second. How many classes do you plan on taking, Cary? Do you take a class a year, or is that something that you think?
That's kind of what been my average, and sometimes it's been 2, but most of the time it's 1 class a year I try to take to try to pick up something. I signed up for the one I took in March back last October because I've been struggling in chicken so long. Well, lo and behold, Brad was there when I got my first chicken win in North Carolina, and my whole life changed because now I have confidence in my chicken going forward, and I'm averaging 173.9 in chicken, and I'll take that all day long because chicken cost me in the last 2 years probably 3 grands and 3 or 4 reserves because I just struggled with chicken so bad.
Yeah. And so that's coming from a guy that's won one contest, one GC. Brad, do you continue? Do you take classes also?
Yeah, no, I take classes if there's one out there. I don't do it every year, but I've certainly, if there's one, and I'm competing a lot of weekends or have classes of my own, so it's not always easy schedule wise. But certainly, man, I mean, if you're not learning, and there's a lot of great pit masters out there, if you're not learning from them, then you're going to get beat by them. So if they've got a class, get out there and take it. I honestly, you spend $1,500 or whatever it is, $2,000 on a weekend. And if you're out there and you're not getting calls and not getting the results you want, you're not willing to put up, $650 or $850 or whatever the class is for one of these classes, you're throwing money down the drain. I mean, it's just that simple. So, I honestly don't think. Now, that being said, you can confuse yourself. I think when you take a class, you probably owe it to the money you spent to go out there and actually run what they taught you a little bit. And I can see you taking 2 or 3 classes and then trying to jumble it together and ended up worse off than you were before. But definitely take a class. Run the product enough so you understand what was going on and you're able to somewhat replicate it. And then you can tweak from there or take another class from there or whatever you need to do. I
mean, a side thing to taking classes is the other people that you meet in that class, right? Yeah. I mean, that's for you. I was able to, we spent a whole weekend with you there, a couple, because we were at the same class together. And what you can learn from other pit masters at that class, because like you said, your first class that you taught, there was a lot of good cooks there, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to be able to see a bunch of good people show up to a contest or a class.
It's fun how much I learned teaching a class from people that come to the class, because I don't know if they're relaxed or they're in a position where you're the person in authority, but you'll get some really good gems where somebody will come up to you and be like, "Hey, Brad, have you ever thought about doing this?" And I'll kind of like, "No, that's a dumb idea. Don't ever do that." Then I'll just sit there right there. "Oh God, I'm gonna do that. That's fantastic." It's funny. It's just how much that somebody will come up and see something that I'm doing and ask me a question about it or make a suggestion on it. It ends up being something that I work into my program. So yeah, it's a two-way street, man. It's pretty cool to have some of the people that we've had. I mean, I remember like one of my best barbecue memories. We talked about how I kind of got into it because of pit masters. We were at a class in Arizona and Johnny Trigg was there. And I had just knocked this brisket out of the park, and Johnny's standing front and center, and I've sliced it up and kind of get it ready. I hand Johnny a brisket, and just watching his reaction trying my brisket was just a memory that I'm gonna have forever. I mean, it's truly, and just watching his eyes light up, and he's like, "Holy crap!" And all of a sudden, Johnny's paying attention to what you're doing because you just fed him a great piece of brisket. So, I mean, it's just the classes are fun, and like you said, networking all the way around. Something you need to do if you're gonna be a serious competitor.
So at what point in time should Cary start teaching classes?
Well, I mean, I said when he's got when he can fill it up, or when it's worthwhile to sell enough seats that it makes it worth his while to do them. I mean, I don't think there's any kind of requirements or whatever. I mean, the requirements are economics, right? Supply and demand. If there's a demand for it, get out there and teach one.
Yeah.
Well, I get blessed to be able to teach at Rec Tech Academy several months a year, and I thoroughly enjoy doing that. And it's a blast for me spreading the knowledge and what I have learned, and I enjoy doing that. And then when you see them come back with pictures and stories of what they have created from what you taught them, that's just really darn cool, and it makes you proud for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it is that. I mean, I've done one of the Rec Tech Academies, but I've never really done a classes like y'all have. And it's just cool to be able to, because it's intimidating. I mean, it's intimidating to get up there and talk about stuff. Can we get some thoughts real quick? But the questions on here about Brad cooking with clothes.
I saw that one. I'm going to answer it. And the answer is yes, once. And I was in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and the wind chill was nothing, and it was really cold. And I was like, man, I'm gonna wear socks and shoes. I got frostbite on my pinky toe the one day I wore closed-toe shoes, and I've never done it again. I learned a lesson. So yes, one time I wore closed-toed shoes at a barbecue contest. I won that contest, and it's never happened or will happen again.
What about Reagan with La Pasadena? Does he? I mean, you guys
I'm not
awesome.
sure if he's got. I think those are hooves. I'm not even sure they're feet. I've seen that guy walk across a bed of coals and just stand there like it's nothing. I mean, he feels nothing down in his feet. So it's incredible. You can have fun with Reagan and his feet. Let's put it that way. Just making him do something.
He's a cool. I mean, I got to meet him at that same class that we were talking about earlier, and just a great dude. I mean, that's one thing about barbecue. Carrie was talking about meeting a bunch of people. I'm sure you've been all over the country competing, and just to name the people that you've met through barbecue, it's got to be a long list.
Yeah.
How many people are still, and for both of them, like, how many people are afraid to come up and talk to you? Or do you seem to be afraid to come talk to you? Or is that something that's just not a big deal anymore?
I think some people are intimidated by me, but I mean, I'm rarely serious. I think people that know me know that. And as long as I'm not in the middle of something I'm doing busy, man, feel free to come up and talk to me. I mean, that's I love talking barbecue and absolutely. But I get it. Some people, can be intimidated and they don't understand my personality. So
Paul Keltner,
speaking
of intimidating, Paul Keltner, he's what, 6'10", I mean, huge.
He's intimidating.
He's an intimidating character. I mean, and he says he's intimidated by you. So.
Except he's always smiling. That's his thing. He's got to take that. If he wasn't smiling all the time, then yeah, you'd be like, oh man, stay away from that guy. But he's always got the biggest grin on his face, I think, at the barbecue contest. So.
And it doesn't help having Lynn there to lighten the mood whenever she's around.
Yeah, wearing a hat, chicken hat, or something like that. So yeah, it's they're great people.
That was one of the coolest things was beating them for the grand at Franklin the other day, and them being reserve grand. For me, that was a really cool moment, and the Lynn just having tears rolling down her cheeks, being so happy for me.
And since they're chasing points against me, I can say it was a really happy moment for me too. I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Oh, me. Brad is scary. Donald Cook, he was there. He was down there with you guys. He was able to enjoy part of that Memphis in May with y'all, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah. He kind of asked if he could come down there. He's, when I went and cooked North Carolina, double, I used all his stuff. I think I ruined his trailer. It was the first time it's ever been used. So his reward was to get to come watch us and haul. His reward was to get to haul stuff for hours the whole time. But anyway, no, Donald's good, man. Every time I go down there, he does everything for me, and it was a thrill to have him on the team, and he really helped, man. We put together the seafood entry. He made the shrimp on that, and then I had to come in there and fix his grits, but that's another long story. But it ended up getting third world there with the seafood, with Donald Cook shrimps, the Donald Cook Low Country Boil or whatever it was there. And yeah, man, it was fun having them there.
That's awesome. So, Cary, I know you're cooking a double next weekend. What's next for you, Brad?
I think I'm going to go out to California. I don't want to, but I'm signed up for it. So it was it seemed like a good idea before this past week. And I'm worn out. I'm tired, but I've already got plane tickets booked, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and go through with it. So it's gonna be Paris, California, this Friday and Saturday.
That's cool. Robert, Smoke Me Silly. We're talking about going out to California and doing a contest next year. And it might be one of this same contest or whatever. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna go out there and cook with Rob Bauer. It's gonna be. I mean, I think we're going to try and do the same thing. I think I'm going to see if I can't get Blues Hog or Gateway to send me some drums out there and go fly out there and go cook on some cans and see what happens out there in California. That's what we're going to do. It seems like a lot of fun. But
yeah,
how is flying from contest to contest? Is that a difficult?
Yeah, I mean it takes something to get used to. I mean, once you're used to it, it's not a big deal. But certainly. Just knowing what to bring and how to pack, and then just working, I generally don't have a light, when I'm at those things, let alone, sometimes we'll put up a canopy, sometimes we won't, but it's generally 4 drums, a table and a Cambro and some meat. So it's a challenge, but it's a lot of fun, and it definitely shakes things up. I've done close to 300 contests, and just anything to kind of shake it up is a good time. And I don't know, man. I've flown I flew this year down to Houston. I flew out to North Carolina, flew down to South Carolina for a contest. So I've done it a few times, and the cool thing about it is, especially when you're using Donald's equipment, you can just walk away from it. It's actually less work for me. I don't have any drums to clean. I just go trash all this stuff, walk away, get on the airplane, and the next time I come down, it's all clean.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Wes, I'm sorry, I forgot the captain himself, Wes Garrett, will be out there. Also, you didn't always invite Wes, so you're just the captain. So Brad flies out and cooks on 4 cans and a table and a camera, while Cary has a motorhome, a 44-foot porch trailer, and like he goes around with the mansion on wheels when he goes to contests. So what do you think about that, Cary? Would you like to go around and cook on a table and some drums?
I don't know. I've not cooked the first piece ever on a drum, so
Oh.
I mean, I'm intrigued by them, and I've looked at them and watched people with them, but I've never cooked on a drum.
Now we know why he's never won ribs, right, Brad?
Well, yeah, you switch to a drum, he'll probably get it the first time out. And Cary is my official, when I fly the contest, he's my official pellet sponsor, by the way. I borrowed some pellets from him there in North Carolina. It did good, so I proceed. Now I take it from him every single time that I can. So that's part of flying into a contest is borrowing a lot of stuff.
It's funny, I do the cans also, and I've taken on your advice of making sure you borrow some pellets from somebody, because you can't bring your own pellets. You have to borrow somebody's pellets, correct?
So, pellet cooker somewhere. You got to go in there and borrow them. Good luck.
It's funny. So, Brad, I'll ask you this question. Cary, I know your answer because you already talked about cooking at West Rec Tech Academy. Somebody earlier in the show asked if you can, what do you think about pellet grills at barbecue competitions? And Brad, I know you're a Gateway guy.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't even limit it to anything, man. I think you should be able to cook whatever you want to cook on and put it in barbecue and see how it works, man. I mean, there's no wrong way to do it. And I'm not some kind of, purist here sitting there saying that pellet cookers don't put out. Heck, my wife almost beat me with the pellet cooker one time out in Utah. So, they put out a great product. They're easy to run, man. If it gets more people into barbecue, then let's have them. So no, I would certainly argue the other way, that we should be more inclusive instead of trying to exclude cookers.
I agree 100%. I mean, who cares what you cook on? I mean, you still got to cook on it. And
it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not, you got to hit tenderness, you got to hit flavor, and anybody, obviously running the pit's part of it, and running the good pit's part of getting the right flavor. But there's tricks on pellet grills that you got to do to be able to sit there and compete with somebody on a Jimbo or in cans. So it's not like it's not like you just go out there and hit a switch, man. You got to do some work. So
yeah, Cary, I knew your answer to that question. But Cary, you're a big Rec Tech guy, right? I mean, so and I love Rec Tech too. But I do see, I do see there's more and more pellet grills coming in. I don't know. Are the pellet grills taking over the old gravity feed? I feel like, when I first got into contests, gravity feeds were everywhere. I don't know if it's because I'm in Georgia and most of the gravity feeds are made in Georgia. But when I got into it, I feel like there was a lot of gravity feed smokers around the country. And now I feel like when you go to a contest now, I feel like you're either going to see a Jambo, Gateways, or a stick burner, or a pellet grill. I mean, is that what y'all are seeing out there now?
Yeah, you don't see a lot of gravity feeds. There's a few, but there's not many. I went to a contest up in Indiana last year, and I think out of 52 teams, there were nearly 40 offsets in the field.
And I'm sure half of them all of them were outlaw smokers out there, right?
Well, yeah, I think there were 4 or 5 Jambos, and everything else was outlaws. But it was in his backyard.
Right. You see the same thing, Brad? Because I know you travel all West Coast, North, South, East, West, whatever.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's kind of, you speaking of classes and everything else, man, people do what works, and we as barbecuers tend to gravitate and figure out what works and try to do that for ourselves. So we're working on our own program. And right now, cans are hot and stick furniture are hot. And that's what you're seeing, back in the day, there were a lot of gravity feeds and it, let's say Cary's, takes off and wins 10, 15 GCs this year. I promise you, Rec Techs will be everywhere next year. It's just success breeds, more of that type of cooker, more of that product, everything else. So it's just any cooker's just waiting for somebody to have success on it, and then it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah. I mean, that seems to be the, I don't want to say it's a follow the lead or follow whatever. I mean, but people are trying to find an edge all the time, and they'll do what, and that's one reason I think the barbecue league has been so successful is y'all have been, everything y'all do, y'all win on, right? So, I mean, it's like, hey, I mean, the black bottle, right? Like that's something that just has taken off. And all because of a picture that Wes Garrett asked a question of, right? I mean, it's like video of him picking up Oklahoma. He grabbed that and splashed a little bit on there. Which, trust me, don't try to do what Tim does. It doesn't work for anybody. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I watched him making a mustard sauce the other day and just throwing stuff and honey and everything else, and it looked like it came out pretty damn amazing.
I fixed that for him, by the way. I told him to put more honey in there. He was like, "You're going to go on the stage for this?" I said, "Yeah, you're damn right I'm going on the stage for it." And you didn't have enough honey in that thing. You'd be probably sitting in fourth if it weren't for me right now. So I went there and basked in his glory for that deal.
I didn't watch that. He's like, "How is it?" You tell you're like, needs more honey.
Need a pot. Need more honey.
And he opened up the bottle and poured it in. I mean, right? I mean, it's like, there you go.
Fixed it was documented. We happened to get it on film. Nobody would have believed me if we wouldn't have been filming that. So it's a good thing. So
everybody thinks it's Brad. I mean, everybody thinks it's Tim, but we all know it's you, Brad. That you are the.
Yeah. It's he gets it about. I told him, he's kind of like the guys. I'm kind of like the guys there at the end. Landing the plane, bringing them in. Tim flew all the way in, got it down, but that last 50 yards or whatever to get it up to the up to the whatever the thing that unloads the people there. I'm bringing him in. There we go. Thank you. I'm in there kind of bringing him in, fixing it, and he never would have got that thing to the runway on time if it weren't for me, man. It would be just sitting out there stuck.
Well, Brad, I got a question for you.
Yep.
How many more drums will you see at Memphis next year?
We're starting to see a couple of them, man. I think we'll see a few. To me, if you're cooking ribs, and I don't know if everybody heard about the rib judging, it was a disaster.
It was a disaster out there with what happened with that.
They called judges back. I mean, they used a computer program or something, I guess, to send the judges out, and it was all screwed up. And several judges are showing up at the wrong place at the same place, so they call everybody back. And some of the teams had already started the presentations for the first onsite. It delayed judging for like 2.5 or 3 hours.
Yeah, and by the time you hold ribs that long, that's just disastrous.
And I know when we were doing it, we didn't even start our ribs that we would use for the finals until before. So we wouldn't have even started our final ribs there. We would have been perfect, cooking on a can. So I could see something like that at Memphis in May, man, where you're actually able to get fresh product and adapt and get ribs up in 2.5 hours. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to cook Memphis in May. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry, Cary.
Well, I know 2 years ago when I was out there, we cooked 39 racks of ribs, I think, for that day.
It's a volume thing. And I wouldn't wish cooking pork shoulders on drums at Memphis in May on anybody. We had pork shoulders. How
many did y'all cook?
We cooked 12 of them.
Okay.
And so we had 6 drums running, and we had an old hickory for wrapping and holding. We would just go and turn and burn on them, and then we just were flowing them through, and ended up not being as far along as we wanted. So even after we wrapped, we ended up moving 6 of them back to the drum and trying to time them out to get them done because we didn't have, those old hickories, you're running them on charcoal and man, that thing likes to lock in at 250 and it doesn't like anything else. And, you'll hear us always talking about the drums, don't fight it. Well, we really needed a lot more heat than that from our timeline that we had. So we're moving, we're got them in pans and we're moving them out to the drum, trying to crank the heat up on them, get them done. They're blowing up. Rich Parker said they blow up if you cook them hot and fast. Rich Parker's right. They blow up if you cook them hot and fast, but they're really good though. They taste really. They're a really good explosion. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. We start at 1, and we don't normally do that. Normally we're at the contest at 6 or 6:30, and we cooked. Our first deal was at 10:45, and we cooked from 1 o'clock to 10:45. We were trying to figure stuff out the whole time. So it was exhausting, but it was also a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Well, I'll see you out there next year. It's going to be a blast.
So,
and I think I've heard a lot of Kcbs teams now. They're like, oh, hey, yeah, man. I hope. Let's go out there and show them how it's done, man. Let's cook some. Get out there and cook Memphis.
Well, I enjoy MBN cooking. I always have. I love cooking whole hog.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's fun. I wouldn't want to do it every week, like Keith Riles and those guys that do that every week, man. Oh, so much work. But once or twice a year, yeah, perfect.
So you need to come down and cook the pig jig in November.
I may do that, man. All right. Do me a favor. Send me the details. Make sure I don't miss a sign up. And I'll come down there and cook it.
Okay.
That's after Kcbs is over. It'd be perfect timing.
It's the first weekend in November.
That's a bucket list category or a contest to me.
But with that, you cook all 3 meats.
We'll figure it out. I might have to, but
I'll come
like
help
80-gallon drum. We'll get like a 200-gallon drum to cook a whole hog on.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll come help you, Brad. How about we cook it together? How many shoulders were you able to get on the drum?
Well, you could have fit 2 on there if you want to, but we never did. We were just running 1 at a time. It's just a matter of, we're running the drum. You don't want to get too much grease going on there. You're looking for a little bit of that flavor from the drum, but you don't want to overwhelm it. So we just ran.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fat and shoulder under that.
Oh, and we left a lot on. The way that
to protect
we cook.
Yeah,
we left.
And I don't remember if I asked you. I don't think I've asked you this on here. Would you consider cooking a shoulder for a Kcbs contest?
Yeah, I'd probably cut it down to what I cut it down to the butt. But as far as starting from a trim from a whole shoulder, I could certainly see that, because when we were trimming those, and cutting those down, you had the skin on, you had full fat caps, you had big money muscles. I mean, it was just the whole thing, right? And so, yeah, I would certainly consider, starting with that and cutting it down. Now, when I cooked the whole thing, we didn't really use a whole lot of the picnic. We dug in there, maybe got a little bit out, but
you go in and get the knuckle meat out.
Yeah, we get in there and get a little bit, but we were just doing. We turned in pretty much Kcbs box, which anybody on the barbecue league can look at what we did. And so I don't know that I cooked that part of it for nothing, but certainly starting from a whole shoulder, you're going to have a good product for sure.
And that's because the fat cap is there and the skin's there to protect to protect the bacon. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, we took the skin off. We went down, down and took the skin off, but we left the majority of that fat on. So yeah, it's just because you're starting with that product, and a lot of times it's hard to find that fat cap. It's really, you can get some restaurant product or commercial products that have it on there that's in the spec, but even then they get into it a lot. So
I was just wondering. I was wondering how many people would be wondering if Getting Basic would start cooking shoulders for Kcbs after the big shoulder world champion that you are now.
They were good. Now, that being said, to get a whole shoulder done the way you need it for MBN, your money muscles are beyond Kcbs done. So if you're cooking it that way, you're probably not going to get, your tenderness scores are going to suffer. That being said, though, sometimes, when you're using those Duroc or those fatty hogs, man, it becomes better when it's overcooked. So, when you can sit there and pull pieces off, hand feed the judges and tell them what they're eating, that you certainly are a leg up. But for Kcbs box, it's probably a little bit overdone if you cook a shoulder.
I gotcha. Well, good. If anybody else has any more questions for these two, we got Cary, big win 2 weeks ago, and followed up with a 6th place. Brad, he goes out and gets his 50th, and that wasn't good enough. He had to go to Memphis in May and become another world. How many world champions are you now?
I mean, it depends on who's counting what as world championships. We
Okay.
we have Blaine Hunter on here. He's had the world championship committee that actually determines. The world championship, we always go back and forth. It's a marketing title more than anything else, and you get people who get worked up or don't get worked up about it. So we've won pork now at every major pretty well. Team of the year twice. I've got King of the Smoker, which is to me is a major competition. We've got the Memphis in May. So just whatever you want to count, man. We won a lot of big contests, and I'll stack my resume up against anybody short of Mr. Darren Worth and feel pretty good about it.
So what would be next? What would be the next thing for you to win to make you feel like you just accomplished something else?
Well, I think it always is about the big contest, right? I mean, I think it's always about the majors, the one that's everybody's at. That's what we're gunning for. So, Jack's Royals and there's other big contests out there that you can go to that a lot of cooks are at. So, I mean, it's certainly something that's on my list is to win, all those contests and I'm gonna give it my best shot. It's unfortunate you get one shot a year and right. You get it done or you get it don't, and a lot of it's luck. But we'll keep cooking and hopefully we'll pull one off.
Well, that's kind of like with us with Houston. Last year we were 32nd in brisket and pretty close to that in ribs, and now I get 164th place chicken.
Yeah. It's just so and Houston's one of those ones that heck no, that's normal. We can't even get in it. We got to win one of the other ones before we can even get into Houston, which is obviously a bucket list cook and one that you want to put on your resume. So yeah, there's a lot of good contests out there and a lot of big ones. And Houston's one of them.
That's awesome. Well, good. Well, guys, I appreciate so much for y'all coming on. I know. Thank you for working with me and coming on tonight instead of last night. I know last week was a tough draw for you, Brad and Cary. Thank you so much for being patient and coming on tonight instead of last week. But I'm proud of both of y'all. I think it's awesome to see what y'all are doing. Brad, keep continuing to make barbecue better. Cary, you're going to be the next guy in the barbecue world. So keep rolling, keep doing what you're doing, and I just thank y'all for what you do. Good luck in the future with all your contests. Are you coming to Georgia, Brad, to do this double?
No, I'm going to California. I'll let you guys.
Oh, that's what you're going to say.
Georgia doesn't like me very well, man. I think my next trip to Georgia is going to be an NBN contest. I heard a rumor here on this show. Breaking news on this show.
This show.
Yeah.
And in Georgia, November 5th or 6th,
right.
November 5th is going to be the next time Getting Based's in Georgia. That's awesome.
I have certainly, I have many humbling experiences cooking in Georgia, so I'm ready to put another one on the list. I'll be over the last one will be far enough in the rearview mirror that I'll be ready to put another ass whooping down there again. So I always come there optimistic, thinking I'm going to win, and I always come out of there not even coming close. So one of these days, though, it's again, get back to it. It's the math. One of these days, it's got to switch.
It's the numbers. It's got to change for you. That's awesome. I know Cary's cooking the Evans, Georgia, and I do believe, other than Brad with Getting Basted, it's the who's who of barbecue cooking, Evans, Georgia. Is that correct, Cary?
It's pretty close. It's for 24 teams. You can't get much more of a killer's row.
I mean, it is wild, that team list. So good luck to everybody cooking this weekend. Thank y'all so much. I know we will be bringing in Chicken Frats product soon. It should be in soon. Ellen is in the works of bringing in some other new products. I don't know if the Blues Hog sale is still going on, but if you need the gallons of Blues Hog, buy 3, you get 1 free. I don't know if that's still going on or not, but if it was last week, I'll tell Ellen to keep it going for tonight. So anyway, y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for all you do. Guys, thank y'all for coming on and chewing the barbecue fat with me tonight. So hope you'll have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next week on Chewin the BBQ Fat. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thank you.